just stopping them at every turn.
I would also be very scared of L5 because Jungha, the last two games, the last game especially on his Zeratul, but then on Tomb of the Spider Queen, both the games they played in the HGC playing Alarak, and his Alarak is something that has been banned, target banned versus him because teams do not want to deal with it.
Yeah. Respect being shown here when you watch a game like we just saw. Definitely looking for it. Now, this ETC ban is a please give me Zarya ban, I feel. And I think they might just lock it in right away. They have the first ban here, and they want to take it. It's so important. It's so powerful on this map. There it is. So this is what I like to call kind of a throwaway ban. It's a strong ban, especially on this map, but it's not normally prioritized this much. And instantly give away the Vala, because you can't allow Vala with Zarya, but it's more of just how good Zarya is almost with anybody on this map, especially Sergeant Hammer, heroes like Raynor, and Tychus even in the past, although I don't think, honestly, Gilly, I don't think we're going to see Tychus even a single more time in this tournament. I think that was his one shot, and he didn't quite perform. But yeah, I think this is a solid response by L5. When they banned the Tassadar, they knew immediately that the Zarya was going to come in, so this is no surprise. That's why these few picks went so quick.
So quick, yeah. Yeah, the Tychus has been, it's thrilling to watch the change up for teams and how they adapt to not having Tychus as an auto attack hero. It's like, what do we get? Zul'jin? Raynor? Who's gonna fill that role now that Tychus is gone? Vala's still there. Vala's still highly contested on some battlegrounds. Here is one of them. It's funny to see her win rate between maps because it varies quite a lot. In general, it's fairly low. It is sub 50% for all three of the regions being Korea, Europe, and North America.
You know, I mean, you talked about who's going to fill that role, and Greymane has, you know, to a certain extent actually been doing quite a bit of that.
That's true.
This time he's not going to be paired with the Tyrael. They grabbed the Muradin because Tyrael is one of the heroes that they would have liked to pick up. So if you have Tyrael, Greymane with the Zarya, it's super strong, so that's part of the reason why L5 picks it up. And they know that it forces the Muradin pick, because without that they would instantly ban it here and start to choke Tempest out. So this draft actually feels really intelligent by both teams, but I feel like unfortunately for Tempest, L5 is still one step ahead, and the ball is always in their court.
Is L5 expecting an Ario ban from Tempest right now?
I'd say yes, absolutely. It's a safe ban, and it's a much harder ban here for L5 because you can't really support choke. So instead of support choking per se, they're going to take away Malfurion, it looks like here. And this may be... Oh, didn't expect that one.
Very last minute change there.
Two green supports, so I mean, it's St. Patrick's Day, what are you going to do? Look,
you have to have so many angry tweets at you by now about your differentiation between the green heroes and Heroes of the Storm.
Look, I mean, that's what can I say?
Rager and Thrall earlier. There is the Ario ban, by the way. I like that L5 did this. Expecting the Ario ban, they're still going to get the better jump on supports.
This was strong because they knew the Ario ban would come down. The Morales pick is really strong with Hammer, but I don't think you can run the Hammer anymore here with Greymane. You're letting yourself into too much range damage. Yes, you have the Zarya to pair with it. It's an insanely strong level 1. And when you get Stim Drone can be used with, realistically, Zarya, Greymane, or the Hammer. Most likely the Hammer with how we've been seeing it being played in Korea on this map specifically. You could just see Hyde pull out his Kharazim, but with what, you know? It feels like the Palm isn't that powerful here. And with how good we've seen Palm ignores in this tournament, it just feels like in general against a level team like L5 and against someone like Jungha, it's just useless almost. There's nothing to pair with Seven-Sided Strike to isolate a hero. I feel like they may just simply lock in the Morales and the Sergeant Hammer here. But nope, here's the Kharazim.
Well, I wonder what Modern Life's going to play. Normally he's not the Zarya player for the team.
Well, I think that's the big question mark here. What's it going to be?
Zeratul. So then, yeah, they will keep Duck as playing Zarya. He plays all of the shielding heroes we saw as Medivh last game.
I think this is somewhat of a denial pick as well, because L5 absolutely could have locked in that last Zeratul here. And, I mean, Jungha's been an issue, right? So,
yes,
this hero pool here is somewhat more limited. We'll see if SC is going to be playing the Ragnaros this time. For L5, they're likely going to stick with the solo damage Vala. But Gul'dan is also a really great pickup here. You do have kind of a solo tank Tyrael with that, which doesn't pair too well with anything but the Vala, but you get good wave clear. And you also have Horrify, which is a great tool. Even against Zeratul is super aggressive.
And Kharazim.
Yeah.
Scary for Kharazim too. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of dive between Zeratul, Greymane, Kharazim. There's so much melee on that side.
Everyone has to group for Kharazim to get his heals off, and that's when the Horrify goes off and everything goes wrong. And you know, Kharazim needs to be having everyone group because that DOT from Gul'dan is super strong. They're definitely considering something else here, though. What's it going to be? Li Ming. So just more standard, you know, burst damage. Tough to pick a Li Ming into the Zarya shields. Again, you know, it was tough against Medivh as well. Kind of shielding that comes up, gets, if it's timed correctly, can absorb those Li Ming combos. But it's not a bad pick by any stretch. I would have liked the Gul'dan personally for the wave clear, but we already saw what Nachogen can do on Li Ming in the previous set.
Yeah, why change what's broken, even, for them? We'll have, this time, Ragnaros being played by Jungha, so going back to that. We won't get the Jungha Zeratul, but there's still Zeratul here. And very wanted, highly contested hero is Zeratul in this first match of the day.
SC didn't get to play as Zeratul the last game, but now he gets to play as Vala. So that's always been one of his best heroes, an incredible KD for him. He does a lot of consistent damage. In terms of the draft, I feel like it's a more standard draft coming out from L5, and I think they kind of won it in terms of draft control because they knew what Tempest was going to do every step of the way and had an answer every time.
Yeah, specifically with the supporting too. That was huge that they had gotten in with taking Vala away from Zarya, and then from that, Tassadar had already been banned. They knew that that Ariel ban would have to be there because Tempest just did not want to have to play against the battery that Vala can be for Ariel. So yeah, I agree that they were able to control it the whole way through. That gives me a lot of hope for Tempest in that, as well as maybe worry, or sorry, hope for L5. And worry for Tempest, how they're feeling mentally through that draft.
The Rhaegar ban was super intelligent, because that was the moment where they were like, okay, we do this, you can't really take Malfurion in this stage of the draft. It would be very strange. It doesn't really suit your composition. We keep him anyways, and then you're forced into something strange. I feel like if they went down the Sergeant Hammer and Morales, they would have had a lot more lane pressure. They would have actually been able to control the early game and really do a lot of structural damage. And then going into the Zeratul path for them feels like more of a denial, which feels desperate, right? It doesn't feel like it suits their composition. It's not insanely strong with their composition. They don't have the Twilight Dream even to pair with it. So I feel like when you take the Zeratul here, you just kind of say, ooh, I really just don't want you to have this, but it's not even good for me. I'm just taking it because I don't want you to have it. It's for, you know, it's a denial pick, but it doesn't synergize with anything, whereas the Rhaegar ban is super smart because you get the Malfurion anyways.
Yeah, it does seem strange, but if they were wanting to go for this dive style from the very beginning, just get very, very aggro, then maybe Morales wouldn't, you know, she gets stuck in the backline, sometimes can become vulnerable from diving. So just fully committing to what they wanted to do instead of making the sacrifice that way.
All the heroes we mentioned there, of course, will be played by the heroes, or rather by the players that we called out. Nachogen on Li Ming, SC on the Vala, et cetera, et cetera. So no position swaps here. We'll take a look at exactly how Tempest is going to play us. Imagine that it is going to be the Zeratul being played actually by Lockdown, yeah, because he's playing the more melee, especially in this tournament. Modern Life will go onto the Zarya. It's not his go-to, it's not his main, but I like the choice of putting Lockdown. And Lockdown is showing in this tournament more of what he showed internationally in the past of swapping into the melees when they have solo damage like this in terms of range. Duck on the Greymane, shot him right here. That's somewhat of a liability, I feel, because he normally plays range mage, and he was always a flex player overall in his career. So to play this carrier heavy damage style in the Greymane that's slightly hybrid melee, I'm a little bit concerned about that.
We're going into game number 3. Let's see if Tempest can bring it back or if L5 will clinch out the series 3-0.
Here we go, game number 3. Tomb of the Spider Queen. L5's map pick. Tempest took first pick, but L5 outdrafted them, I would say. It's not a one game by draft by any means for L5, but I do feel like they really controlled it and have control as a result here. You know, when you look at a draft like Tempest, it doesn't have a theme. It doesn't feel strong in any way, right? It doesn't really, it doesn't have synergy, but if you look at L5s, it just looks like, okay, well, this draft could work out in almost any case. It's just well-rounded.
Can you maybe shed some more light on the role swaps for Tempest seeing? Because I would look at this and I would think that Lockdown would play Greymane, and then we would have Duck Duck playing Zarya, and then Modern Life playing Zeratul.
It seems like, because right now, a lot of the kind of role swaps for Zarya specifically end up being the ranged flex. So it's a little bit strange that Duck Duck would not be on the Zarya here. It would be on the Greymane. I suppose that either he's just not comfortable with the Zarya, which forces another awkward situation for Tempest, or he's just secretly been playing solid Greymane, has kind of kept it as a pocket hero, and they consider Greymane as kind of a ranged flex type hero, because he's going down the cocktail build very likely here. They don't have, you know, massive support for him or anything like that. So maybe because it's not dive Greymane per se, and he's not going to be going Wiz and Duelist, they go, well, Duck Duck can just play him like a ranged hero. You know, his cocktails, his skill shot should be on point because he's good at leaming. And Zarya is a little bit easier to play in terms of just mechanical and extra damage. But that's what I would guess. I mean, we've seen both, you know, melee players like Modern Life playing Zarya and ranged flex. In this case, Duck Duck is going to play the Greymane. I can't fully explain it, but that's as best as the explanation I can give, just simply because it's rare, and I also am a little bit perplexed like you are. Yeah,
it seems strange, but knowing the players, I figured you'd have a better answer than I can give, and I was correct. So thank you very much for that. So far, L5 dominating this rotation, keeping Tempest back on their base, partially maybe just out of fear, out of how this series is going, but also making sure just to keep up their rotations as fast as they can. They have a lot of support, and then with having Ragnaros in the top lane, Tempest have had to send some members up to try to supplement Zeratul as well. They're trying to maybe get the kill on Ragnaros. You know, we've seen it on other sides too, where Ragnaros is one that could possibly be punished for positioning when he's trying to get those early game stacks.
Yeah, ooh, big jump in here. Lockdown's actually going to commit to dive in onto SC, and will actually get the kill onto Soy here instead. SC kiting back there, but a nice kill for Tempest. They lose a little bit of EXP, as you can see here. Ragnaros Jung up there on the top lane, pushed it all the way to the wall. They're going to miss almost an entire wave as a result, so ends up kind of evening it out, a kill for a wave. But you know, normally when you have a Zarya composition, especially on this map, you actually build into this, you know, aggressive level 1 composition where you can do a ton of damage, you can push down a Canatar. The fact that they were unable to do that is worrisome. You can see the extra personal barrier coming up here for Zarya. Zarya gives some extra support to Greymane, but I don't think it's going to be enough to allow Wiz and Duelist. That's just too greedy with this type of composition. They don't have enough safety.
Well, especially with the first two Greymane talents to Draft Overflow and Perfect Aim. Definitely going to be seeing Incendiary Elixir at level 7. On the other side, what interests me is Vala's build. Generally, at least in NA HGC, we only see this Hungering Arrow Monster Hunter build at or on Battlefield of Eternity. I'm wondering if it is a possibility that she's going to be focusing a lot on trying to get the mercenary camps for the team quite a bit.
I think that's definitely one of the reasons why this will actually be used. Let's hold that thought. Some aggression here. Currently controlling the turn-ins is Tempest. It's pretty rare to see this in Korea in general, and I would have actually expected to see a multi-shot build here just for versatility, extra safe damage, and of course the wave clear that it provides. It's a bit unique, and that's the only explanation I can give with you as well, so pretty unusual here so far coming out from Vala. This game is pretty dead even right now. I think Tempest has a slight lead in terms of the early game. That's, you know, expected with Zarya. And Modern Life has so much energy right now. He's actually doing a ton of damage, even with Poke. Root goes down here, though, onto Lockdown, and that means he is going to have to bounce away here.
You know, another idea for the Hungering Arrow build is for 1v1 trades, too. If she thinks she's going to be 1v1ing people a lot, especially with Zeratul or Greymane, then getting Puncturing Arrow to have the extra bounces, as well as maybe even Siphoning Arrow later on. We'll have to see if that's the case, because she would have to give up Gloom versus things like Ilna and Cocktail. But maybe that's another avenue that SC is looking at for this build.
DuckDuck has been pretty on point with his cocktails, and it starts to feel like in terms of ranged Greymane or cocktail Greymane, he's definitely really well versed, and I would imagine that that's the reason why we're going to see this role swap here.
Yeah.
Because he's playing it fully ranged.
Right, the best hero, or the best player is on the hero for the team.
So Tempest does get that first Web Weaver turn in here. Was not easy, and they did secure a kill while doing so. It was on the Sway much earlier. But they're controlling this early game as you would expect them to. And I'm excited to see how this game plays out in the late game, because again, Tyrael doesn't get too much value. He's not empowering any big melees here. Ooh, Jung actually trying to turn this around on the side. But yeah, Tyrael's going to help protect Vala and allow her to be more aggressive, but I like the team fighting potential here for Tempest. And remember, their playstyle is all about team fighting. And winning that late game just by getting a wipe, for example, I mean, that's what they're most known for when they play against top-tier teams. But even against Zero, you know, as we saw yesterday.
This first turn-in is going to enable them to help, to be able to do that more too, if they can get ahead in experience by taking down as many towers as they can, or at least staying even in experience. They never have that issue where they're behind in talent tiers like L5 have put them in the previous games of this series. That's key for Tempest to keep up. The problem is that Tempest turned in 50 gems, and L5 are still keeping up with experience at the same time. Their defense was solid. They have solid defensive heroes in general, especially in Ragnaros. And I don't even think you had to use Molten Core to defend either.
No, definitely not. And they're actually going to get a turn-in of their own. And if they do more with this, that's really scary because it will secure them 10. Tempest would have liked to take a team fight here before this turn-in could happen to actually deny gems to get a lead. Unfortunately, they were unable to do so. I think pre-10, team fighting for them is going to be difficult. They can push lanes really hard because they have a ton of wave clear and they have Zarya. But team fighting was just a difficult task for them without 10. And obviously this is going to be a huge, big bump up here for L5 as they're going to get level 10 first. And they have so much poke here with Vala and Li Ming. It's the siege power of this composition. Greymane has nice siege in terms of explosion and poking, but not in terms of clearing.
All right, one Web Weaver down, 2 to go. Jungha starts to put damage on the bottom floor. Lockdown's going to show up, though. At least put a little fear in Jungha to back on out. He does have 24 gems, does not want to lose those for his team. The team of Tempest spreading out to defend, and with L5 all going up to the top lane and having a heroic ability advantage, they'll get at least this one fort.
Yeah, definitely so. They're going to get it, clean it up, and it looks like in the bot lane, they're trying to, Tempest is, stop that bot fort from going down. It's actually possibly still going to go down. Not seeing too much of a shot of it there, but it does get saved there by Zeratul. They are on even talent tiers now. We do see Go for the Throat. Obviously, not really a silver bullet comp they're running up against here. And this is just a very passive game by L5. Notice how they take a small advantage, they push it here, they back off. This is a scary moment for both teams, obviously, because once these eggs spawn, both teams do have enough for a turn-in. So this next fight actually will determine gem control for the foreseeable future, especially if you get 2 or more kills. It means that they might be able to even double turn off of this.
Yeah, it will very likely determine, if not the game, then a big part of it, and who has to make the miracle comeback later on in the game. Sign in a little bit of trouble, but has Dwarf Toss and a lot of walls. There's a lot of really good places for Tempest to fight, especially around these turn-in points with Expulsion Zone now and Void Prison too. There is a possibility that L5 groups up just a little bit, but once again, with things like Twilight Dream and Sanctification, it's all about who gets inside of those abilities and who gets caught by Tempest.
Absolutely, it's tough for them to catch. You know, I talked about how they were going to have a tough time before 10, but even after 10, their draft, remember, it doesn't really have a strong theme here. They're looking for picks, essentially, especially onto the support or damage of L5. If they can get a pick with a Void Prison or a Go for the Throat or both, or maybe even an Expulsion Zone, that's how they're going to win those fights. It's not going to be easy, though, with Sanctification and all the consistent damage L5 has. Remember, their draft is very consistent. It has 2 types of damage. It has big CCs as well as invulnerability. In terms of heroics alone, it's going to be tough for Tempest. I feel like they have to get picks in order to make this composition work, and that's not going to be easy against such a safe team like L5. They're going to get one right now, though.
They finally find someone. They have proven us wrong. They got a pick, and that was so needed because L5 were starting to eke ahead in experience. Ragnaros starting to turn in. Looks like Verdun did get the stop, but nearly pays for it with his life. SCSC using Strafe. Lockdown wants to go for the kill. and will jump back in to secure it.
All right, picks on both damages here. L5 really needs to back off right now. This should be an opportunity for Tempest to actually turn in. Leeming's up in 3. Need to get back to those eggs right now and try to get these web weavers up. This is a huge opportunity for them. Looks like Noblesse is going to deny it for now. And in fact, now that there's only 10 seconds left on Vala's respawn, they may not be able to get it. They're pushing in now. Noblesse actually has Aldruins. Not going to use it to top the turn. He's actually going to go in here for the fight here. We do see the pick onto Zeratul, but it's going to cost them web weavers. Duck barely gets out with his life here, even a ping down there onto him. And they actually grab that kill onto Greymane as well. Sign super low here. Will just barely get out. Nitrogen teleports forward to try to get the kill. They get web weavers, but they lost 2 here. And this is a big problem. It's going to make it tougher for them to capitalize on this.
It started with Sign trying to zone away 2-pronged attack to stop the turn-in, both on Noblesse in that alleyway and then Malfurion in the mid lane. But once he dove over thinking that he had pushed back Tyrael enough, that was when Swoy had this money Twilight Dream that gave L5 the pick. Thankfully, though, Tempest got web weavers. They're trying to get back in the lane and help them out as much as they can, but losing a pick and not having 13 at the very beginning of that means that those gems were basically wasted.
They essentially were, Gilly, absolutely. Because, I mean, look at, let's go, oh, hold that thought. We're going to see a jump here on the Jungha. Oh, the Sang actually saves him. He walks right back into it, gets the heal here. The expulsion zone that will knock him back in. There's the pick. But I mean, if you want to compare damage in terms of structural damage, they got a fort nearly 2. L5 did. Tempest is not able to get a single one. Nice team here, fight here for them though. They're going to try to turn this Noblesse actually Aldruins into a Void Prison.
Oh, can Tempest punish this after that? The grenade went out once, did not connect. They're trying to maybe test out when the Void Prison is going to get dropped. And no, Tempest do not get any further kills just yet. Lockdown jumps back in, dives back to safety.
And Modern Life's doing a ton of damage in these fights just because he's actually shielding so correctly that every time he shields a priority target for L5, he gets that energy and also protects them, so it's twofold powerful. And on this map, I mean, Zarya is super, super strong. They're going to look for that double turn-in because they controlled that last fight. But again, remember, L5 didn't lose a single fort while the web weavers against them because of those picks.
Level 13 is a huge amount of safety, though, for Tempest at least. They got her spell barrier to be able to mitigate a lot of that spell damage that L5 is putting out. That's going to be very big for them. They have Healing Static 2, Mending Strikes for Zeratul. So at least they are ramping up in their survivability versus all the damage that L5 do have.
This is riskier for L5. They're holding a lot of gems here. They do not want to actually end up getting wiped or even losing anybody in a position where they can't recover gems. I like this decision to retreat instead. L5 just continue to use this very passive playstyle here, but they're kind of out of position right now. Nose Lockdown's positioning. Great Moonfire there by Swoy to actually reveal him there. And he's actually unable to get that Singularity spike, so L5 can retreat here. It's still tough for them to actually commit to a turn-in right now, though. If they get a pick, it'll be a lot easier, and they're committing to Sign right now. This is actually such a close little poke war we're watching right now.
It is. There's still Fear Smash. Zeratul gets taken out. This is so good for L5. Twilight Dream, and another one goes down. Nitrogen getting the resets.
Jungha gets the smash that Modern Life was unable to get Zeratul-wise last game. So difficult to catch a slippery target like that, but he's able to make it work, which will be a web weaver turn-in. So they're no longer carrying this massive amount of gems, which is so unfortunate. And once more, with the sieging power they have with Leeming and Vala, this should be so much damage they get. They're going to get this, mid fort for free. The bot push was really strong, but look, they even kill this without the web weavers. The web weavers are going to come up first. They're going to threaten mid-keep wall. The bot fort's going to go down 100%. And Tempest still doesn't even have 16, and they don't have a lot of siege to defend. Modern Life gets caught here by this Holy Ground because of that 16, and Sign is likely to be caught as well. There goes another Holy Ground. Sign Avatar's here, but for what? He dies.
Oh no, that is rough. L5 will get a lot more done with these web weavers. Top's being cleared out. Ragnaros is trying to usher along the bottom lane so that Webweaver stays as healthy as possible. So once L5 finish up here in the mid, he can maybe rotate down in the bottom and get towers at least too, maybe throw down some key pressure. Just make sure these lanes are consistently pushed.
Noblesse even smiting there, almost like he's trying to scare him. Wasn't really necessary there, but he's just so aggressively positioning himself, to get over that wall, make sure no one can stop them. Duck gets palmed here, but it's ignored perfectly here by L5. They get the pick. That's all the range damage Tempest has removed. And actually, this could be a win opportunity here for L5. The keep is going to go down. Lockdown survives for now. Here's another strafe. They're going to get 2 keeps off this worst case scenario. Expulsion zone's already been used. Looks like L5 is going to stick with that conservative play they've been showing all game long. They're fairly low on mana, especially Jungha. So yeah, they just take the 2 keeps and they're going to walk away. They have 77 gems. They could Hearth contest because Tempest doesn't have enough for another turn-in. Then look to follow up with that extra turn-in once they're at full mana. And with their heroic spec, this is a really scary moment here for Tempest. This actually may be them on their last legs.
Yeah, and that just goes down to the fact that L5 were patient with their turn-ins. It was risky. It was scary to go up against this dive style that Tempest has drafted while holding those gems, but being able to have them, not losing them. The one time they lost somebody who had a lot, they were very diligent in going in and picking them back up, and now it's such a rough place to be in for Tempest.
Okay, Sulfuris actually wasted here. That's a really nice opportunity for Tempest to try and turn this fight. But look at this, Holy Ground goes down. Sign is zoned out. He can't do any peeling here. Sanctification used as well. They want this kill on the Duck. They're committing to it heavily here. Even those Merc camps getting aggroed here. Meanwhile, Sign is picked. He was alone. Right. Duck goes down, and this may just be game over, Gillyweed.
Now, L5 are so good at putting their opponents in lose-lose situations. Tempest had to contest. Nice Twilight Dream just to finish off Zeratul there. Tempest had to contest because they just could not deal with the pressure anymore that L5 would have, and having another turn in, but going out also meant that they were in line to be taken out in a team fight, and L5 could just win off of that, not even needing the Web Weavers should they get enough kills, and they did. L5 will go on to the winners finals of the Eastern Clash.
Yep, number 3 seed from Korea in Tempest will be knocked down to losers. Last time these 2 teams faced each other, Tempest was able to take a game on Dragonshire. This time, L5 made it look clean. And I think part of that is because Tempest tried to go down some heavy drafting paths. They went kind of all in on their drafts and what style they wanted to play. They didn't want to play Standard against a team that's the best in the world at playing their style and playing Standard. So, when it all came down to it, the drafts looked weak when L5 was able to kind of play against them. When they committed heavily to comps that were aggressive in the early game. They couldn't find anything with it. When they went for the poke comp on game 2 on Infernal Shrines, they couldn't actually find value with that. And so it looked weak overall. It looked one-sided because they committed so heavily in the draft to a specific strategy, but L5 had the answers every time. And in game 3, I feel like the draft alone was the answer they needed to win the game. Yeah,
Tempest seemed at least a little more comfortable that they were up against an opponent that they knew, and they knew how they played, and they knew the weakness that they needed to exploit, versus when they were playing versus Zero Panda. It was like, whoa, what is this Zagara doing in this game? But still not, just you can't deal with L5 when L5 are on the roll that they have been since September. They have not lost a series since September.
They have not, and I mean, when you look at it, L5 was going into this tournament the big favorites, and here's Noblesse, some crazy holy grounds in that last game, helping catch Sign many times, and Sign was one of the weak players on Tempest, I feel, in this series. Noblesse punished his aggressive positioning consistently, but yeah, I mean, when you look at L5, people are saying they were the favorites going to this, and I still feel like they really, really are. They're likely to face MVP Black in that winner's final, but that's where we're really going to see them fully tested. But as far as what we've seen so far, I mean, I think they're going to take it. I think they're the favorites for this tournament still.
Yeah, that even yesterday, there were maybe some questions about some things, but it also just could have been that they were having fun with that series. They were so heavily favored versus Resurgence. But in this one, very flawless play from the teams.
Yeah, we talked yesterday about were we going to see L5 draft a little bit strange against Resurgence, try to hide some stuff. I thought they were going to just play it super standard. They didn't. And today we got to see more standard drafting out of them. And when strange drafts hit the fan, L5 knows how to respond. And especially in that first rotation, you saw how quickly they locked in the responses. You knew they had already prepared for, scenario X, Y, and Z. And when it happened, they were just ready to just snap lock in. And you could see them make that transition on the fly into the Rhaegar ban instead of the Malfurion ban, which is super smart. And good drafting, good mechanics. And also we saw in those team fights, the Jungha play has super leveled up. And you have our final game result here.
4-level leading Tempest. at Eastern Clash, the #1 seed from from Korea versus the #3 from Korea as well. Just L5 is on a whole different level. They're playing a whole different ball game. And we even posited that first series, as well as having fun, you know, diving into the kill zone was Jungha on Zeratol, but we posited that they might have been switching up their drafting just a little bit, just maybe even to throw off their opponents later on in the tournament.
Yeah, I just feel like when you kind of put the triangle together, you've got the macro play they're known for, then you have the individual skill that we're seeing from this team every time. Plus, I lost the third part of the triangle, but anyway, they've got good macro play. Oh, the drafting. So you've got the drafting, which I think was a part of the triangle that we didn't really know was going to happen yet after watching them yesterday. You have the draft, you have the macro, and you have the individual skill of these three players. You put that together, looks like we're having an Eastern Clash champion, as far as I'm seeing.
Well, friends, we have so much more to go in the Eastern Clash. But first, we had the Western Clash last weekend, and if you missed it, you missed out. But don't worry, we have some highlights from you from that weekend. Let's check them out.
Snitch is the major threat here, constantly keeping eyes on all 5 members of Misfits. So now that they understand, okay, well, our opponents have eyes on us, let's just make some plays here. Here comes the Moncore leyline steal, big Bolton swing, so fear is smashed, members dying left and right. Splendor focused down, Nurak on the right too. Gargantuan stands as the only member here for the Misfits near the court. Nurak will eventually get swung on, but Dignitas cleans up that fight almost too easily.
Yeah.
If teammates stay spread out, they can be in a spot to win the game. Remember, Molten Core available.
Yeah, and it's poking away. And Odin here doing pretty significant damage here, actually. And Dignitas, you know, they have a lack of resolve.
Oh my gosh, Glora goes in!
Jaina, Trixler, lack of Jaina.
Outstanding play from Glora.
Your destiny ends here.
Watching out to a T, actually, it was Nurak coming in, but either way, doesn't matter who's playing into Haka, Fnatic's able to take care of it.
Finding Pop and Strafe to bring out the damage to deter anyone from moving in too far. Nurak will use it as a decent and be just fine, but here is Bloodlust. Chromie focusing down. Nurak will be able to heal on up, but God, he can't even escape being slowed down. He jukes and ducks. There's the drag on Wabi Tyrael being locked down the right side. Finally, he goes down. Misfits holding their own.
You go, I stay.
The void. The big void coming in. They're trying to look for the hit and they're getting it. There comes the mosh pit. Immediately interrupted. Didn't even go off completely, but they get the kill against Falset even before he has a chance to gust.
Yeah, now look at the rest of Team 8. Their health bar is so low. Howling Blast is going to connect their butts. Looks like he's going down, but the mosh pit is going to get the peel. 3 people are stuck in it. Can they get the kill? Prismat with Zalia now with the last man standing here. 3 people dead. That mosh pit justing. He cannot get it on this ETC. His mosh pits are insane.
Hell yeah, let's bust up another.
Falstad is in the top, still working down the fort. The boss is almost down. Sanctification on the point, Trick.
Dedication maybe a bit too early. Can JPL get in there? He's holding it. He's definitely holding it. Zalia coming in as well. They're edging forward. Ringer Frost to pop out, but Snitch with the mighty gust. No, the boss goes over to the Misfits, but the Dignitas has chosen to fight, and they are bursting members down left and right. Tyrael gonna try and get some damage on. He will hit Rhaegar. JPL continues to live. 2 for 2 trade overall, but Snitch looking for some damage. The slowing sands. Misfits cannot walk away. Look at the Enduro anomaly. There's no escape. They're stuck in a pit. Here goes Dignitas taking out damage on Darkfall, and we're from Snitch and Chromie.
So well done.
Amazing! Every time I see it.